And hello, everybody. Welcome to Sunday night and Ask Us Anything. We are Mike and Jennifer Wendland, and gosh, we look forward to this all week long, don't we?
We do.
Yep, you guys are like, this is family. It really is. Hey, before we get our new merch, our new shirts, this is our third design. We showed you, I think last week we showed them
Boondocker.
We showed you
maybe Happy Trails. I don't know.
Happy Trails last week, I think it was. And then we got Boondocker, and we revealed that one in yesterday's YouTube video. And this is our third design for 2021, outdoors. Isn't that cool? See this? Isn't that a nice design? Anyway, you can get all of that at rvlifestyle.com/go shopping. We'll tell you more about it. Hopefully somebody will ask us about it as we get going here today. It is great to see so many of you. We are coming to you from Florida. We are still, and we will probably be here using this as our base to explore. If you saw our video this week, we did some boondocking this past week. And this is kind of our base, our condo that we have in on the Emerald Coast. I don't want to rub it in, but it was a spectacular day today, wasn't it?
It was beautiful.
Yeah, we even got some beach time. Hey, let's bring on Phyllis Carr to talk to her for just a minute. Phyllis is going to help us with all the questions and moderate everything here. Over on the YouTube side is our friend Chris Cowley, who is moderating all of that, and he doesn't have a webcam hooked up because he's busy herding everybody over there. So thank you, Chris, from West Virginia, and Phyllis is in Iowa. So we come to you from across the country tonight, and it says Phyllis still doesn't have her RV. What's up with that?
Well, everybody asks. They always ask. Somebody asks in the thread always every week, like, "Do you have your RV yet?" And I'm like, "Nope, don't have it yet."
We should tell everybody you are looking, right? You've been looking for 2 years. You're a tough tire kicker.
No, I live out in the middle of nowhere, and then I'd have to travel a long way to get
travel. People are moving around pretty good now.
Yeah. You know, I just as an aside, I'm in the last tier of vaccine, so I'm grouped with the 16-year-olds, so I have still a little bit to wait. But you never know. I'm really looking forward to getting out of here in the next month or two, so it's going to be good.
We're still here. Come on down here.
Yeah. Sign me up for that. There's a whole bunch of things I need to tell everybody. First of all, there's hardly any questions lined up. So if you have a question, you need to get it in there because Mike will be able to get to it pretty quick. So
I'm going to tell him why I'm going to leave if we don't get a lot of questions because I have something else to do. Look what Jennifer made today.
I don't know if you're going to like those.
What are these?
They're healthy muffins.
Healthy muffins.
Sugar on top, and they'll be fine.
Why would somebody eat healthy muffins?
Protein in them. And,
whey protein?
Yeah, whole wheat flour. But they've got an apple.
Just put some sugar on
cottage cheese.
You'll be fine.
Okay,
brown sugar.
So we need questions. Yep.
We need this because there are hardly any questions. So get your questions in there. If you're looking at this on Facebook inside of a group, you need to go up to the description of the post that you're watching and give StreamYard permission to use your name. Otherwise, go over to the page. We're streaming there too. So you can go over to the page and Facebook will tell us your name. Otherwise, you show up as a Facebook user, and Mike would prefer to say your name on the air.
I do like to say your name.
Yeah.
And we have a special thing for our supporters. And we don't talk a lot about our supporters on Facebook and our members on YouTube.
Okay, well, I can tell you about it. It's a really wonderful thing. It's a lovely way to support Mike and Jennifer in the whole RV lifestyle. And I know you have a very supportive community, and they love to buy your merch, and they love to buy your ebooks, and they love to do all that. And maybe they don't like t-shirts, and maybe they don't need the ebooks, but they want to support you. And so the way you do that is through a membership. And you can do that either on Facebook or through YouTube, but you get to it at rvlifestyle.com/members.
Yeah.
Right.
We'll put that up, and we'll talk about it later on. And everybody, there it is. Look at that. That's how you can find out. And it's kind of like you get us when you do that, right?
Yes, that's exactly.
And you get more of our time.
What a prize.
What a prize. Well, for you, maybe not for me. Although I'm still
Healthy
going back
muffins.
to these things. Healthy muffins. Here, anybody want one? Try one. We'll give them away. Well, have healthy muffins. Do we have any ice cream?
We do.
Okay. I'll make that.
There you
That'll
go.
make it all better. So if we don't get questions, that's good. Well, we'll come back to you a little bit later on in the program. And thank you, Phyllis. Phyllis is helping with the moderation. And one thing she says every week is, because we are simulcasting this on a number of different platforms, you may only see a couple of questions. So your question may, you think, go unanswered. But what we see is we see everybody from our Facebook group, our Facebook page, our Facebook supporters, our YouTube members, and our YouTube community. So we see all of that, and we try and take all the questions. So ask your question once. We will do our best to get to them. We try to pick questions that have more of a general interest or something that we've been talking about. But we look at all of them. We appreciate them all, and we hope we get more of them. All right.
Why don't you read some of the comments?
I'm going to read some of them. All right. Let me start off with a couple of them, and we'll come back to you, Phyllis. Thank you for checking in with us tonight. First of all, the first one up there, we always like to do the very first, and it's from Linda Ward, who's in Robbinsville, New Jersey, and she's still waiting. They have a Leisure Travel Vans Unity twin bed model on order. And yeah, waiting is a tough thing to do, isn't it, Linda? And here's Mad Dilly's comment. See what he does? He writes comment and question in all caps. That makes us know that he's talking about something that we've kind of been talking about. And he says,
"Hey, Mike, still waiting for the Ham Radio podcast, 73.
And his call is K04 or KO4 OIG, Oscar India Gulf. What the heck is he talking about? Well, we talk about it every week. I do have a ham radio video that I am trying to put together. And it was going to go next week, but I ran into another story this week that's going to take it over. I'm looking, if any of you guys are ham radio operators, if you want to appear on this video with me, we're going to do a little demonstration on the video. However, since I'm down in Florida on the road, my HF system, it would be portable and it doesn't work really good. But if you have the Yaesu Fusion system, I hang out in a reflector room called the Zombie Alert Network. I know, sounds crazy, but let me know. Send me an email at mike@rvlifestyle.com. And I'll work up a sked, as we ham radio operators call it, a schedule. And I'll actually talk to you via ham radio, and we can put that in the video. So let me know. But that would be, I have to be on on Yaesu Fusion on that network. And ham radio guys should know what that is. But it'll be cool. And we are working on that video. So, all right, on to your questions. This is from Robin Ostermeyer.
When you're camping, do you warm up your batteries first before anything else works off the battery, or does it happen all at once?
Well, in our case, we have heated batteries. So when I am any place where the temperature is below freezing, I heat the batteries. I just push a switch, the batteries are heated, and these are lithium batteries that we have, the coach batteries, and they work just fine. You don't have to worry about the chassis battery. And then, when you get warm weather, I turn off the heat and it's great. So I do turn the heater on them, but they worked even without the heater. On the system I had before, it didn't have heaters and they were fine. So not a big deal. But if you have the option when you do get an RV and you get lithium batteries, get the heated, see if you can get a heated option on it, because that's really nice if you camp in cold weather where it's consistently below freezing, as it is when we do our winter camping in the snow. Hope that helps, Robin. Hey, a super chat for $10. Super chat, by the way, is something that you can do on YouTube. It's a little dollar sign. It's kind of like a tip jar. And if you've ever been at a piano bar and you tip the piano player, he plays your song first. Well, when you use the super chat on YouTube, we take your question first. You go to the head of the line. See, we get a little yellow flash like that, and we can see it's different. And this is from Larry Valdez. And Larry says,
have you heard anything about the National RV Training Academy in Athens, Texas? I'm looking into getting my RV mechanical certification and RV inspector certification soon.
I have. It's a great operation. It's a great thing for people to do. I'm doing an article in the next couple of weeks for Camping World on different occupations you can do to support yourself while you're RVing. And one of the things I suggest is just that, is get your RV mechanic certification and also become an inspector. We always recommend, and with so many used RVs on the market, there's a big demand, just as there are for house inspectors and car inspectors, for people to go in and inspect, who know what they're talking about, to look at an RV and say, yep, this is in great shape, or you got to, don't forget, there's some dry rot in there you got to take care, or you got to fix this leak in the roof, put some caulk up there. So you're going into a great field, and these guys are first rate. They do a great job. They have set up sort of the standard for national RV inspectors, and it'll be money well spent. And as you travel, you can support yourself with that way, and you can do it at home as well. So thanks for the super chat, Larry, and good luck with your national inspector's certificate. Go for mitts. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Go for mitts.
How often should you replace the water in your fresh tank?
After every use, I would say. After every trip, if you're going out for a long weekend, drain it when you get back at the end of the weekend. If you're going out on the road and you're out there for a couple of months, you'll be going through that water fairly regularly, so you don't have to worry about replacing it. Where you really want to watch it is if your RV is sitting in one place for a long period of time and you're not using it. Those tanks can get really warm, and that water can get pretty skunky. And
a big factor is how warm it is outside.
Yeah.
Whether it's cool or if it's hot. If it's hot, the water goes bad quite quickly.
But if you're traveling, you're pretty much using that all the time, so you're constantly tapping it off. At the beginning of every season, we sanitize our freshwater tanks, and I try and do it at the end, although I don't do it all the time at the end, because sometimes the end comes quicker than I thought, when a sudden freeze happens or something. And then you just get that water out and you don't have time to sanitize it. But at the start of every season, we do sanitize it. If we are in extremely hot weather for long periods of time, I will run a little bleach through there. Not a lot, just a little bit. And then, run a lot, drain that tank and get that bleach tank taste out. But we have a video on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/RV Lifestyle. Just search for sanitation. We just did a story on our blog too about sanitizing, how to sanitize your RV freshwater tank. If you go to rvlifestyle.com and then search there under sanitation, and you'll find that article. It just came out a couple of, I think it was last week, or the week before at the most. So it was very recent. Ann and Mark Turner.
Thanks for Excuse me.
Oh, there you go. Look, they read it. Thanks for sanitizing your article on sanitizing. See, they just read it. And it reminded before they head out next weekend. Yeah, it's a very easy process to do. And it pays dividends, because you're going to be drinking that water. You also want to have filters. So that's good. All right. It's a lovely ride is with us tonight. Hi, guys. We're regulars, and we love to see you here on Ask
Elaine is asking, I'm winterizing in Massachusetts and cannot locate the AquaGo filter removed at the time of winterizing.
That's the little thing you pulled out. Yeah, I guess I know that.
I cannot find one online. Even the Truma factory is sold out. Help.
Yeah. Where'd you put it?
I hope it didn't get tossed out.
When I did the video on winterizing, I always said we put ours in one spot that we know about. So chances are it's in your RV. Look underneath the sink in the kitchen. That's where most people put it.
Or the bathroom.
Or underneath this. That's it. Yeah. Underneath the sink in the bathroom. Or in one of the drawers. And I don't know where else you would have put it other than that. If Truma, who makes the AquaGo filter, doesn't have one, man, I posted on our RV Lifestyle Facebook group. Maybe somebody can give you a help. Maybe somebody has one they don't use anymore. But, Truma's the source. They should have one, or they should be able to tell you where to get one. But I wish you luck on that one because you gotta keep track of that. I know I'm telling you something you already know, so I don't mean to be rubbing that in. Here, I'm going to make you feel better. Let me give you one of these healthy muffins. Take one of these healthy muffins.
Got cranberries and apples in them. Ricotta cheese.
Oh,
a little bit of everything.
Well, never mind. Okay, we'll work out with them. Annie Murgy.
When connecting solar to batteries in
charge controller, yeah.
Excuse me, charge control, where do you put the fuse or shut off switch when you hook up your solar panels? Thank you so much.
Are you doing this by yourself, Annie? I mean, if you're doing a DIY system, you're following some kind of directions and they'll tell you where to do that. So, it's more than just putting a couple panels out and then connecting a solar panel to it. You want it to integrate with your battery system. You want it to integrate with your generator. If you have a generator, you want it to integrate with your automobile alternator or your engine alternator if you're in a motorhome. So I don't have enough details to really give you that question, but follow the instructions. Take it to a dealership, somebody that's familiar. But if you have a solar panel, you want the solar panels and the solar controller to work with whatever engine powers your RV. And if you have a generator, you want to work with that. So I don't know. I don't have enough details to give you any more than that, except do it the right way and get, make sure you're following the directions. Greg Masters, question.
Okay. Does your Wonder rear twin bed have adaptive cruise control? Hello from Annapolis, Maryland.
It does. I don't like it, but it does. And what that is, if you don't know, it means if you're driving and you get it set for 70, and you pass somebody who's going, or you come up upon somebody who's going 65, it'll stop the cruise control and you'll start to slow down. I usually see somebody that's going 65 and I pass, but it's a good safety feature to have, I guess. But yes, it does. And Lucky Stamper. That's the question.
We just ordered our URL thanks to watching your videos and seeing how much fun you have. What about the internet? So when hubby works, what about that? Will hotspot, jetpack be okay?
A URL is a universal resource locator. That's the little https://www address that every website has. Sure. We have a jetpack, and for our hotspot, we also use the WineGuard Connect 2 system. So I have redundancy in it. If you're going to be working and the internet is crucial, I always recommend you have a couple of different ways to get on. And we use the jetpack for most of our stuff. Some people call that the MiFi card. Depends on what carrier you're with. I also recommend that you have multiple carriers, that you have access to the internet through, in our case, we have Verizon and AT&T. And actually, I don't have AT&T right now, but that's just temporarily. We'll have it. But always to have two providers, because sometimes you'll be in a spot where one provider is just not there, but the other one usually is. So if you really want to be sure, get that. And as many different ways as you can get on, as many different helps. We're big believers in the WeBoost cell phone boosters that the company called WeBoost makes. And if you look at our gear page, rvlifestyle.com/gear, you'll see the system that we have, and we recommend that. Also, we have a partners page that maybe I should send you there. If you just go to rvlifestyle.com, and there's a little about section up at the very top. If you put your mouse on that, it'll drop down menu and you'll see partners. And if you click on partners, scroll up, we've got a whole thing on how we connect on the road with lots of information and links and our favorite stuff there. Deb Castell. Hi, Deb. Deb's a supporter.
Do you need to have a Florida State Park pass to reserve campgrounds there?
No, but you need to have one when you're there. It's like in Michigan and most other states. You can reserve a spot. Some people will charge you on site as you make the reservation to get the pass or a daily pass or whatever you need to get in. More often than not, when you check in with your reservation, they'll say, hey, do you have a pass? And you say no, and get one. So don't worry about it. And if you're usually oftentimes, like in Michigan, it's on my license plate, so I don't even have to think about it. Chris Allen with a super chat. You see how he's highlighted? That's from YouTube, and those of you watching us on YouTube, and he kind of goes to the head of the line with, wow, that's almost a $10 super chat. Thank you, Chris.
And his comment is, I was waving to you across the Gulf from KOA and South Padre Island.
Straight that way. Hey, Chris.
I'm looking to buy an RV soon, but patiently waiting for just the right one. And thank you from Wichita, Kansas. God bless.
Well, thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Yeah, the Gulf of Mexico is right out there. And oh my gosh, today.
You love the dolphins.
Yeah, I spent, this is how I love to spend a Sunday. I spent Sunday with my binoculars for I don't know how long, just watching a pod of dolphins just offshore, just fishing and playing and running around the water. I bet I watched them for a half hour. And we have a sandbar right offshore, and then it gets about neck deep, and then another sandbar, and then it drops down really deep. So just beyond the second sandbar, which is maybe 50, 60 yards out there, that's where they were, perfect binocular range. And I love the Gulf of Mexico. Facebook user. See, here's where when you come on Facebook, when it says can you give StreamYard, that's this whole system we're using to stream for you, give them permission, and then I'll see your name, and I could say, hey, Joe or Bill or Mary. Or
it starts right out. Hey, it's Crazy Eddie from Tampa.
Crazy Eddie. Hey, Crazy Eddie.
When you're camping somewhere, what do you guys do if you want to go into town?
We unplug if we're plugged in, or we just leave, start the engine, and drive off. People ask that all the time. They say, why don't you worry about losing your sight? And it's never happened to us in 9 years, including boondocking. Usually when we're boondocking, we're far enough back that we're not doing a lot of running around. Now, we just did a boondocking trip here in Florida, and we were the only people in the whole little campground area at Eglin Air Force Base. Get a look at that video. It just went up yesterday on youtube.com/RV Lifestyle. Boondocking on a bombing range. All around us was a bombing range, but there was nobody there, so we didn't worry about it. And most of the time we're boondocking, that's the case. There's nobody there, so we aren't worried about losing that spot. If it's in a campground or a camping designated area, we'll often put up a little sign. I bought one online that says campsite occupied. I keep thinking somebody's going to steal that. Nobody stole it in 9 years. Some other people just put a piece of rope across with a little sign that says,
or a milk jug, even just with
a milk jug. Yeah. So
just something to let people know. But occupied, because it's not a good idea leaving chairs and
I wouldn't leave
hoses
chairs
and things like that, because you don't know if it'll be there when you come back.
Who was it? Somebody was telling us, or maybe it was on our Facebook group, that they had left some chairs and somebody took them, and they went and reported it, and the manager said, oh, we picked them up. We thought the place was abandoned. I mean, they got them back. But
that's a happy ending.
Yeah, that was a happy ending on the chairs. But it hasn't been a problem for us. Don Balfour.
If I order a travel leisure van rear lounge, how long before I can get it?
Ordering it now? Maybe by 2023? Seriously. Maybe you could get it at the end or the fall of 2022, but it might be 2023. I'm not telling you anything that you guys haven't seen elsewhere. We're in the midst of a true supply chain shortage in everything. I mean, Ford Motor Company is shutting down factories and laying off people because they can't get a chip for the F-150. And this supply chain shortage, this crisis, started with all of the COVID shutdowns last year, and they just mushroomed and snowballed. And now there's massive delays at every port, and parts and everything is in short supply. Add to that the RV boom. Everybody wants an RV. Mercedes can't make enough Sprinter chassis to satisfy RV manufacturers. They are satisfying Amazon, which buys most of them, like 20, 30, 40,000 at a time. Dodge ProMaster, short supply now because so many Amazon people are buying that. The Ford Transit, they're cranking those chassis out as fast as they can, but they can't get those enough. All the parts, from awnings to water pumps to the microwaves, all those things are in the supply chain. So the result is it's going to take you at least a year, maybe a year and a half or more. That's the reality of it.
And then there's the problem of the lack of workers.
Yeah. I mean, everything becomes political, but it's the truth. I mean, I noticed it here in Florida. Every place that's open has a help wanted sign. And if you talk to people
who own the
businesses, as we do, they will tell you that they can't get help because people are being paid every couple of months. They're getting $1,400 to sit home and play video games. Well, what are they going to do? That's a good deal for them. I mean, there was a worker shortage as well. You don't hear about all this stuff, but all of this goes into the whole idea of this parts shortage and how hard it is for RV manufacturers to get the workers they need to build these things. It's a big problem, and that's why it takes so long to get an RV. Jerry with a question.
Do you like your rear view mirror, wireless or wired?
Wired. I always, my rear view mirror doesn't do anything, but I think you're talking about my rear camera. I installed, if you looked at our video, we installed as an option on this RV, and the one we had before, we installed a permanent rear view camera that's always up. And yeah, we like it a lot.
Yeah,
you're the one who wanted it. Yeah,
I insisted upon it.
Yep, it works. It works great. Heidi, and we have wired. I believe wired is always better than wireless. Wireless is not really wireless. You still got to connect it to a power source. The only thing you don't do is the wireless is you don't run the camera wire to the controller, to the monitor. We did. We just ran it underneath and brought it up. It was very easy, and it's much more reliable than wireless. Heidi with a question. Heidi Den Hartog.
What percentage of time do you boondock versus campsite? And then hello from Ontario, Canada. Hello to you too, Heidi.
Pure wilderness boondocking where there's no campsite and it's dispersed camping. We would love to do more of that, but maybe 20-30%. Boondocking in the sense of no hookups or dry camping, like at a Harvest Host, which is our favorite place to go. Or in the case that we just showed you on our video when we camped at the Eglin Air Force Base. Please go check that video. It's on youtube.com/RV Lifestyle, and you'll see that video. They had designated campsites, but there were no water. There was no electric hookups. There were no pit toilets. They just gave you these areas where you could camp. That's where we tend to camp most. When we're on the way from one place to another, we'll stay at a Cracker Barrel. Yeah, river. And that's dry camping. So most of our camping is technically boondocking. We're not big fans of big
expensive campgrounds.
Campgrounds are $50 a night now. They're $50-$60 sometimes. Not unusual. You can find some cheaper, but they're expensive and they're all booked up. Try and book a reservation at a popular spot. They're all booked up. So, but lots of places to boondock. Brenda with a question.
Have you ever had troubles with your inverter? Just had to replace mine recently. Have the Road Trek CS Adventurous. It was a long process. Glad it's over and headed out this weekend.
I'm glad you got that fixed. Yes, we had problems with the inverter on the RS the CS Adventurous that we also had when we had a Road Trek. I don't know why. It just had troubles communicating with the coach batteries, and the inverter died. On the unit we have now, we had one minor glitch. The inverter stopped working. A fuse had popped, and it turned out at the factory somebody had put a 20 amp, I think it was a 20 amp fuse in that should have been it was a 50 amp fuse that they should have put a 100 amp fuse in, something like that. So we just put the right size fuse in, and that was all that was. But the CS Adventurous, we had a lot of little issues with that inverter. Kim Batson with a question. And we ended up having to have it completely replaced. So that was the thing on the road track that we had. Kim Batson was the question.
Would you happen to know if latest LTV Wonder rear lounge will take automatic levelers? I heard that particular model might not take them because of the placement of tanks. Could be.
Well, I think it's the same. We have the rear twin bed model, and I know Leisure Travel Van is working on trying to get the exact placement of them. We have the twin bed models, and we did get the automatic levelers, and they did install them. They have since even found, I think, a little better place to mount them, but we've had no problems with ours. We got ours from the Equalizer factory in Elkhart, Indiana. It was about a $4,100 expense. That's how much those things cost.
And there's not that much clearance.
There's not. We had some issues with clearance, and I think that's one of the reasons Leisure's kind of looking at how they can better place these things, because they do want to get the clearance down. And I've since heard that Equalizer has figured out another place to mount them, just changing a little things around. We haven't had big problems with them. I shouldn't say that because we do boondock. I did knock. I had snap pads on them, which is adds about maybe that much to them. And I knocked one of those off on a mud hole that we hit on a 2-track when we were boondocking, but didn't do any damage. And I still use it. I just left the snap pad off, and I still use the jack, which has a pretty wide angle anyway on it on the bottom part. So all that said to say that yes, you can get them. At least we could. Call Equalizer if you want to have them installed. You can't get them at this point. Maybe you can soon, but you can't right now as an option from Leisure. Deborah McGee Edwards.
How do we check our propane tank for leaks?
Well, the simplest way is to go find them and put a soapy water around them and see if there's any bubbles leaking out. But when it comes to anything with a question with propane, take it to somebody who repairs and fixes and handles propane. Most RV dealerships can check that for you and check it safely. So if you think you have one, take it to an RV service shop and just say, "Hey, I'm worried I got a leak." The other thing is you smell LP gas, which smells like rotten eggs. So if you smell that, you want to have somebody inspect it. But get professional help on that. James Massey. Hi, James. James is one of our regulars as well.
We're considering adding an auto leveler to our C-Class Sprinter. 2 related questions.
First of all, no problem with an auto levelers on the Sprinter. They've been doing that for years. Equalizer system, I know, works great with it. So,
first question: should we continue to use the rear stabilizers along with the automatic levelers?
What rear stabilizers? I don't know what they have on those.
Should we continue to use the rear stabilizers along with the auto levelers?
No, you don't need to do that. I answered this question, I think, on our supporters group. No, I mean, if you're getting the auto levelers in, why do you even messing with the rear stabilizers? I mean, you can, but your rear stabilizers are going to get you a level. And then if you put the other ones down, you're going to probably get it firm, but is that going to set off the levelers? And then is the leveler going to keep messing around with it? Pick one or the other. And I would say use just the levelers. And the second part of the question.
In a thunderstorm, should we raise the leveling jacks as a safety measure against lightning? Would putting rubber mats under the lift pads help mitigate risk?
It's not an issue. Your motorhome tires have you insulated, and that's pretty good. So I would not worry about it, and you're great. Just thunderstorm, stay inside. Stay inside. You don't want your tires off the ground. And normally you don't anyway. It's okay. It's not going to break the leveling system, but keep your tires on the ground, and that takes care of that for you. TJ Larson.
How long do your batteries last boondocking? If you have, have them, and do you wish you had a bigger battery capacity?
What is it? They say you're never going to have too much lithium batteries. We have 200 watts. And, I would like 300 or 400, but actually there is this sweet spot between 400 watts of solar on the roof that fully charges those two 100-watt lithium batteries every day. So I don't really need more. Would I like more? Probably. But the way we camp, I've never drained my batteries down. I mean, lithium, you can take them down to zero. AGMs, you can only go like to 60, 70%. They say don't go any further than that. We've never lost power on them, have we, in our lithium? The current ones. We did on some of the others because they had different systems and stuff. But on the ones we had in our Unity before and our Wonder now, we've never run out of battery power. And we run a CPAP machine, all of our gear, our fans. We use the microwave a little bit, for cooking, the lights. And we've never, you don't really need to use a lot of power. At least we don't. The TV is on 12 volts. We don't watch TV anyway. So we will watch sometimes with computers, and we have a lot of things charging, batteries and stuff. I've never run out of power. Never run.
And you're not running the air conditioning.
No, you don't run the air on it. I mean, you'd need a minimum of a 3,000 watt inverter. We have a 2,000, and you would need at least 300 watts of lithium, and the air conditioner could then only run for, half hour, 40, 50 minutes. And then it would get, air conditioners just suck energy like crazy. Steely Mommy. I love that.
We just got a 2020 leisure travel van Serenity with less than 3,000 miles. What's the difference between stabilizer jacks and leveling jacks?
I think they're talking about automatic stabilizers. It's an automatic 4-point leveling system. And I know on our Wonder it costs $4,100, and I took it directly to Equalizer Systems, the company that makes them in Elkhart. The automatic 4-point leveling system. Here's your RV. You push a button and the front jacks come down, and then the rear jacks come down, and then a computer kind of does this until it gets it exactly level, and then they stop and you have it completely level. The typical stabilizers that people have are little arms that come down, and you kind of crank them up and down to try and level them. You put your own level on. Other people use little leveling like Lego blocks, and they drive the tires on them. It's all very frustrating to me many times. I mean, it's doable, certainly. We did it with our Class Bs. Our Class Cs are just big enough that I wanted the automatic 4-point leveling system, and that's what we have in ours. You like it, right?
Yes, I do.
In fact, it was a big expense.
Yeah.
We paid that ourselves, by the way. Nobody gave it to us or anything.
I wanted it level for sleeping. I don't like, I guess I'd never make it as a sailor. I want a level surface for walking and everything.
Yeah. She is, that childhood story, The Princess and the Pea? The Princess. And you've got me spoiled now too, because when we level that thing, it just feels stable. That's what they do also, but it's level. So it's a great option to get. You don't need it on a B van. Usually you can handle that with the 4 tires and just the Lego box or whatever you drive it up on. But on a C and over, it's a very nice option to have. Bill Sullivan.
Which would you suggest, Campendium or RV Wizard? The pros and the cons.
There's about 6 others out there as well. I like RV Wizard. Now it might be just because that's the one I use all the time, but I love the way I can actually get all the reviews I want. I love the fact that I can do my trip planning with it. I can set out my 300 or 330 rule, which is, for those of you who don't know what that is,
you stop at 3:30 or
3:30 local time,
or else you only drive 330 miles.
That way,
that's long enough.
You're refreshed when you get there. You have time to look around and enjoy the place. So I will start with RV Trip Wizard, and we will draw out a 330 mile radius on a map, and then we can use Trip Wizard to see where you can camp around there, either boondocking or at a campground. We can see where we need to get gas. I input all the information I need about what our gas mileage is and how far, how full my tank is. And it tells me, hey, you need to get gas about here. It's just, and then you can do quick checks and review on all the campsites with Trip Wizard. That's my favorite system. Campendium is a nice system. I really like the Dyrt, DYRT. It's another one that's out there. I love campgroundviews.com. I love I love Allstays. The app Allstays is another great one. We have links to our favorite places for trip planning and for campground reviews. If you just go to rvlifestyle.com and look under the About section, look under Partners, and you can see some of the ones that we like. They're all good. Campendium is a great service too. I really like what Campendium did during COVID. They kept track of what places were closed, what weren't. They did a great job with that. But my personal favorite tool, and the one we use the most, is RV Wizard Pro. Does a great job. Ron Walls.
And it's hello to us, and thanks for all you do. And do you use a VPN while traveling?
VPN is, of course, a virtual private network, and no, we do not. We really don't have a need to do that. It's a security thing. A lot of people are kind of paranoid about, online privacy, and if that really bothers you, get one. I don't have one. I don't have one, and I get them often at wanting to. They want to buy links on our blog, rvlifestyle.com, or they want me to run an article promoting theirs, and hey, we'll give you X amount of dollars if you run, and we don't. I don't take paid content like that at all. We don't do paid links like that. So I've never had one. I don't see the need right now to get one. I am concerned about, the Facebooks and all the private data that is mined and everything. And then I don't want to say I'm never going to get a VPN, because if the situation deteriorates with online privacy, then I probably will. But we don't have one now, and we never have had one. Richard.
Okay, we are picking up our new LTV front twin beds on Tuesday in Minnesota. It is winterized, and we are going back to California. When can we do winterize during our travel back?
Well, somebody told me it was like 70 degrees in Michigan almost today. So pretty quickly. I mean, I don't know where you're going and what your route is. If you're going to be in any place where you're going to be exposed for prolonged periods of time to temperatures below 28 or 30 degrees Fahrenheit, then you want to keep it winterized. But if you're, if when I say prolonged, I mean for, a day, for 24 hours or so. If it's just overnight, that's not bad. If it's going to drop down into single digits, yeah, you want to still be winterized. But generally, you can get down a little bit cold because you're going to be having the heat on inside. You can get through a couple hours at night if it drops down that low. But anything below that, I would keep it winterized. So look at your route, look at the weather forecasts. And if you're heading to the southwest, I think once you get south of the Mason-Dixon line, you're probably home free and you can de-winterize there. We just came down to Florida 2 weeks ago tonight. And we left Michigan and we de-winterized in Louisville, Kentucky. And it took all of about 8 to 10 minutes. I mean, it was that easy to do. And we don't intend to go back to the north until any risk of having to winterize again is over. So
I just wanted to say that I think they're going to like that front twin beds. I like the front twin beds because it's kind of like having the two sofas again. And I think Bo could lay there and look out the windows. He wouldn't be so far away. But the only thing with us, why we got what we got, was because you wanted the garage.
I wanted the garage with all the extra storage and ours, but I think you really will like that. Elizabeth Sanford, or Santoro. Hi, Elizabeth.
Can RVs drive through tunnels if the propane is turned off?
Out east, they want you to turn the propane off.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't think anybody checks you, but that's the law. So, make sure you know the law.
Propane.
Turn it off. It's a matter of stopping and putting the switch. So know what the law is before you go into a tunnel, and look on the state's website. They'll tell you, and look up the name of that tunnel. But yes, you should.
And our friends, the Geeks on Tour.
Hey, Jim and Chris across the state here in Florida.
And they liked our video on boondocking at Eglin Air Force Base, and they're going to go there.
Hey, if you're there in the next month or so, drop us a line and we'll come out and join you. We haven't seen our pals, the Geeks on Tour, since we stopped going to RV shows. They just did. I know you guys did the Tampa show, and I think you were just at the FMCA rally in Perrysburg, Virginia. Perry, Georgia. So I'm glad to see you guys are still out there and that these shows are back again. The geeksontour.com. Look it up if you have questions, particularly about taking photos and Google Photos and all your apps and stuff. Chris and Jim just do an incredible job. Geeksontour.com. Besides that, they're just great people. We miss seeing them. Chris Duxbury.
Any thoughts on a towed or small hitch mounted cycle on a Class C?
It's 65 degrees in Tarpon Springs, Florida. Ooh. Wow. What's the temperature? Alexa, what's the temp? Oh, I got Alexa turned off.
Well,
what's your temperature say?
I'm looking.
It says
usually it's
64 degrees.
It's
64 degrees here. Yeah, but the sun is just about to set. So it was probably almost 70 here today. A towed for a small hitch mounted cycle. Yeah, I've seen people use them. You need make sure, I don't know how much it's going to weigh your cycle. So make sure you are within the right tongue weight and all that stuff on whatever kind of a Class C you have. If it's a Sprinter based Class C, you can probably pull 5,000, 7,000 pounds. So it's not an issue. If it's a Ford Transit, you might have an issue depending on the configuration of the RV. So good for you. It's a lot of fun. It'd be great fun to have it. Johnny Lee Nielsen.
All right. Planning a short trip to the eastern shores of Maryland. And they don't want to miss anything to do. And what should they see there? I did want to share that you can get a Golden Age Pass, 62 and up, for $10 for a lifetime membership. And you can get free day use admittance and half price state park camping Sunday through Thursday.
Is
kind
that
of exciting to try out?
What that's Maryland State Park. Well, gosh, the Maryland shores, awesome. Maryland is really a cool state, and you're just right outside of Washington D.C. if you head to the south, but if you head to the north, you've got all that awesome stuff. You got Pennsylvania, you've got
history,
you've got Civil War battlefields, you've got you can go up into Pennsylvania, Hershey, Pennsylvania. Anything on the Maryland shore is awesome. And I didn't know that they had a Golden Age Pass in Maryland. So a great thing.
That's a good thing to share with everybody. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you for letting everybody know that. When you were saying Golden Age, I said, well, they don't call that anymore, but that's for the National Park Service. That used to be what they called theirs. So $10, if that's a great price. Good luck. Have a great time. Gene Hart.
Did you have to have military ID for the boondocking at Eglin?
No, Eglin Air Force Base, which we learned this week when we went boondocking there, is the largest forested military reservation in the world. The whole base is 840,000
255.
No. The whole base is 840,000 acres. The public area is 255,000 acres.
All right.
The public area, you do need to get a permit, and I talk about that at rvlifestyle.com. Just go look at the post that we just put up, and you can get the pass to visit online to camp there. They have 14 campgrounds scattered through there. How much is that?
$5 a night.
$5 a night. $5 a night. And the thing about Eglin is it's from where we are right here. You can see that window over my shoulder here. That window. I mean, the Gulf of Mexico is, well, you can almost see it. So it's right out there. It is probably, if there's no traffic, it's a 15 to 20 minute drive, and you're camping in beautiful wilderness area. We camped, the place we picked was on Anderson Pond, which is a nice little clean,
very
clear,
easy to get to.
and you're right next to the Florida Trail, which is one of the best hiking trails in North America, 1,500-mile trail, $5 a night. But you got to go to their the equivalent of the Department of Natural Resources for the Air Force, Eglin Air Force Base. It's called Jackson Guard. It's all in our blog post, and you got to pick out your location, and they'll tell you what the road conditions are, because sometimes the road conditions aren't great. Sometimes they have closures because it is an active Air Force base. There's a lot of bombing raids, a lot of special forces training, and they'll close certain areas. So you have to camp there. You got to go get your permit in person, but you don't have to be military. You don't have to have military ID. You got to get that recreation pass, which is $20 a year if you're a senior, $10 if you're a senior. And then you can get that online, which lets you go in and look around and stuff. But to camp, you got to spend $5 a night. Hopefully it won't break you.
And we have found that Thursday night is usually when they do a lot of testing of new things.
We can even hear them here over on the beach. It's like a Gatling gun, and we've gotten to, and you'll hear some practice bombs going on. It's
and so some people say, want to hear that.
If you don't want to hear that, that triggers you or something, then don't come.
If you have issues,
Other people say that's the sound of freedom. And it's a really interesting Air Force base. Special forces are there.
Yeah, they train people from other countries.
They train people from all over the world that come. So Eglin Air Force Base, and you can camp there. Great boondocking. Stuart with a question.
Do you have any recommendations on the propane regulator for an LTV? Seems likely failure over time.
Just wherever you bought it, just go to the dealer. If you want to have one, say I want to carry a replacement with you. But the one thing I don't trust myself to do is to do anything with the propane system. I have it inspected every year before we go out. And the last unit we had, the Unity, they said, hey, I think you got a leak. And we replaced the regulator and it was fine. Have a professional look at it. If you're a professional, then fix it yourself. But I would not recommend anybody mess around with that unless you are truly a professional with it. And it's no big deal. I mean, a regular is very inexpensive. It's not much. Alan Dahl with the question.
With the low profile of the LTV Wonders, do you have any issues with bottoming out when your transitions over uneven road surfaces?
No. Have we?
Well,
once, I guess. Yeah.
Well, you have to be aware. I mean,
we mooch dock at our son's house in Nashville, Tennessee. He's got a fairly steep driveway going up. But if you've had any experience driving your RV for any length of time, you kind of know how slow to go. And even with our automatic levelers, we're able to get up his driveway and park just fine. Mm-hmm. I've hit with the levelers once, as I mentioned, on a really, really rough road at the Pigeon Forest State Recreation Area in northern Michigan last fall. Didn't do any damage. It just hit and it knocked off a snap pad on one of my automatic levelers.
And you can ask, what is the clearance?
Yeah.
How many inches clearance? Yeah. And you can think about that and think about where you drive.
We have 6 inches clearance on the back, and I think 5.5 on the front. And it's usually the back that will bottom out. I would rather have 6 all the way around, but it's not been a big issue for us, and we sure do like those automatic levelers. Craig Brecken.
Question. Is there a video of you dumping with your pump out the black tank?
Gosh, no. I mean,
we should have had a couple videos with
Stop it. Don't tell them that. Okay, you can tell them, I guess, now.
Well,
if you were watching us 2 weeks ago, somebody asked us, because I said I've never wanted a cassette toilet. And somebody asked us that night, and I said, today I'd take one.
Yeah, well, once when we had one that wasn't ours and you were trying to empty and there was a hole in
the hole in the hose.
That was a bit of a disaster. That would have been a funny video.
Speak for yourself. I'm glad you didn't see it. You remember that Chevy Chase movie? No, the Robin Williams movie, RV. You remember that movie, that scene? That was me. It was kind of like a hole in the tank. there's not much to it. I guess I can do a story on it. It's we have on all of our RVs. I'm a big fan of the macerator. I don't know if that's the correct word. I'm talking about dumping black tanks and being a fan of anything, but we have a macerator that we use on ours. We bought that option. We had it on all of our Class Bs, and we have it on our Class Cs now. And what it is, it's the narrower hose. It's you don't really ever see the stuff that comes out because it fits in the dump tank, and you just flip a switch and it grinds up solids if there's any solids in there. So there's nothing to it. I mean, I put the hose out, I put it in the tank. You pull, to drain the black tank, you pull out a black handle and it gurgles out. You turn on the macerator, it grinds it up. It's empty. Push it in the black. Then you take out the gray tank and that kind of clears off any junk in that hose. You don't ever see it. You wear gloves, you wash your hands afterwards. I guess I can do a video on that. Now, I did have a problem this year. And then I learned something that I'll pass along now. I hope nobody's eating dinner. So we had used our tank for our winter campouts. So when I de-winterized it 2 weeks ago in Louisville, I said, well, I'll drain the black tank. It had maybe a third full, from our last winter camping. So I ran the macerator out and I pulled the black valve out and it started to leak right where the macerator attaches to the sewer dump. So I pushed it back in. It was an ugly mess. And because I had a lot of road salt, I couldn't really see what was all underneath there. What had happened is the macerator attaches to the sewer dump with kind of a bayonet type clasping system. And that has a latch, kind of like this, right? So one of the latches over the winter on some rough road had come loose. And while it was not in danger of falling off, it wasn't sealed properly. And when I opened that black tank, some of that black stuff came out from the black tank. So once I left it, I didn't do any more with it. I cleaned it all off when I got down here to Florida. I took it to a car wash, cleaned off underneath there. And then I looked under there and I could see, oh my gosh, the tag it was not clamped. So I just pushed it in and latched it, and that's fixed tightly. So from that, here is my recommendation. It's something I will do always. Whenever I'm about ready to drain the black tank, instead of pulling the black valve out first, I will pull out the gray tank and make sure there's no leaks. I'll just pull it out a second. If there's a leak, you'd see it coming in, and then I know I got to just tighten it again instead of pulling out the black. Does that make sense? Did I say that right?
Yeah, you said it right.
All right. Well, anyway.
And I'm doing my best not to listen to any of this because I don't empty that.
Yep. That's good.
I suppose I should learn, though.
All right. Last question. Davis, Tandy, and Buster.
Okay. No, we never found the drone memory card. Probably the next owner will.
Yeah, that was on our previous, that was last fall. Got some of the best color video I've ever gotten up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. And in fact, I wanted to transfer it over to I wanted to get it out of the drone memory and put it in the computer so I wouldn't lose it. And when I popped it out, the card pushed out, and it fell somewhere, and I never found it. It was in somewhere
by the front seat.
Somewhere in the front seat of the Unity. So the people who bought it, maybe they'll find it. Never did find it. I did get some pretty good color video as it turned out later on in the winter. So it was good. All right, last question. This is the last one of the day.
Oh, can Jen post her recipe for those muffins? They sound good.
Okay. Last question. We'll show these. Well, why don't you tell it?
They're not light and fluffy. They're kind of heavy.
Can I touch one?
When I got these, I got a blueberry muffin. I love blueberry muffins. Supposedly a healthy blueberry muffin. And I like muffins fresh from the oven when they're warm and soft. That's my favorite. Now these, I don't like to warm things in microwaves.
Cranberries?
This has got, cranberries.
Apples.
There's ricotta cheese. an apple. I did. You're supposed to mash the apple. I just put it chunks, and took the skin off. And the electric mixer, egg white. It's a pretty.
Can you put
3
your
tablespoons
recipe
of brown
online?
sugar. Yeah.
Why don't you put it on our Facebook group?
Okay.
Our Facebook group. We'll put it on maybe tonight. We're going to go eat them right now. Wow, that was a fast hour. We are done. Let's check in quickly with what are you going to say?
I was going to say, I bet the healthy muffins are going to get pushed aside for some absolutely delightful ice cream we found out here.
Oh, we have found this black cherry chocolate ice cream.
So bad.
It is so bad.
It is so good.
It is so bad. It is great. Hey, I want to give one more push on our new design. This is one of our 3 new designs, and that's where you can find it right there. This is the outdoor design, and I'm wearing a black t-shirt. It comes in a hoodie. Next week, we'll show you, we have zip-ups as well, zip-up sweatshirts. We've got men's and women's t-shirts. There's Jennifer and that. We have the Boondockers t-shirt. We have the Happy Trails. And that's one way you can help support us is with merches. Just go to that address. Also want to remind you, for those of you, our podcast on Wednesday, we'll talk about the Harvest Host phenomenon. It's really big news with Harvest Host. I mean, they just got $37 million in investments. They're about ready to hit 2,000 places to stay. As you could expect, their prices are going up in April. But if you follow that address, you can renew right now at the existing rate, and we'll also save you 15%. So use that, and they'll be on our podcast. So check that out. We'll mention that in the newsletter that goes out tomorrow. So, last check of the night to see how we did. Did we miss too many questions tonight, Phyllis?
No, not too many, but there are a couple that we missed right at the end there, but they can go to the Facebook group and ask them over there. I think they've got some good answers. All
righty. Sounds like a great plan. Well, thank you for being there. And Phyllis, maybe we should do a GoFundMe to get Phyllis an RV. She's a very picky shopper.
Yeah, it's not so much the GoFundMe part, it's the go find the actual RV. So it's just finding one I like.
Yeah, well, they're out there. All right, Phyllis, thank you so much for being there and running herd on everybody tonight. Thank you over on YouTube to Chris Cowley, who was there keeping track of everything there. Thank all of you who gave up a part of your Sunday night to be with us. There will be no Ask Us Anything next week. We are down in Florida, and we have our kids and grandkids are coming to visit us, and we're going to take a night off and enjoy our time with our family. You are our family, but we're with you every week, and it's rare that our kids and grandkids come to join us in Florida, so we're going to spoil those grandkids and won't be here next week. So that's what we got for tonight. See you down the road.
Happy trails.